Hello guys, I hope you're all well. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the module one of this course. So guys, this is an important thing. Okay, the fundamentals you need to know about before you start to trade, and it's something that cannot under any circumstance be neglected because you know, trading is one thing when you're just buying and selling and you're pressing buttons and you're learning price action and things like that. And once you get into the market and understand how things happen, that's all well and good. But if you don't apply certain things with regards to you and how you set up and things like that before you trade, i.e. the fundamentals, you're not going to succeed in this game. And that's something that everyone has to understand first and foremost. Trading is more than just buying and selling. Trading is your future, it is your career. Okay, you want to build a path to freedom, to financial freedom, to give yourself time to do things that you want to do. And like with anything, it requires a certain amount of planning, it requires effort, it requires work, and a lot of that work doesn't even happen on the charts. Okay, so this is really what we need to talk about first and foremost before we start diving into the charts and things like that, because this is really really important, guys. So just to kind of carry this slide on, we're just going to talk about firstly trading career essentials. And guys, this is a career. You have chosen a career path in trading. Now, this might not be the path that you're on full time at the moment, but this is what's going to lead you into full time success as a trader. Okay, so the first thing, properly setting up your trading business. Okay, you need to make sure that you've set your business up, and we are going to go into, in the next lesson is about the anatomy of a trading business. So that is absolutely something we're going to cover in more detail. So if it goes sort of, in one ear and out the other ear, that's absolutely fine to begin with, because there's going to be a lot of in-depth conversation where we're going to talk about things like this, but it is very, very important. And if this is something you've already had in your mind and planned and worked with, then that's absolutely great, but it would still do you well to listen and watch and observe this activity, this lesson. Don't skip anything in this course. Okay, it's very important. So the first thing, obviously, setting up your trading business properly, and really we're going to go into the anatomy of it when we talk about goals, visions, your personal development, what potential costs there are to setting up your business and things like that. Constructing a trading plan. Okay, really, really important that we consider our trading plan, and I've got a trading plan that I'm willing to kind of go through with you guys and let you have and things like that. If you haven't got one, or maybe you want to take my one and tweak it and move it around, that kind of thing. But before you take a single trade, you need a trading plan. Finding your edge within the markets. Now, the beauty of this course is we're going to teach you all about your edge in the markets. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ways to learn how to trade. You've got all these different types of patterns. You've got, institutional, order flow, retail patterns, simple bits of price action, smart money concepts, all these different ways to learn how to trade. And I still believe, and I truly believe, the way we're going to show you and work together in the future is going to be the best way, or it is the best way of trading. But there is a lot of different ways to learn, but the important thing for you is to understand your edge in the markets. And the other beautiful thing about having an edge in the markets, you don't have to be a complete genius with understanding how the market necessarily moves. No one is a complete genius. The banks and institutions control the markets with volatility injected into the markets, and there is an algorithm on the charts which is printed out in the form of a candlestick. We predict which way they're going to move based on probability with our price action structure analysis. That is our edge in the markets, because that is usually the way price moves. Now, you sometimes lose trades because price goes against you, whether or not you've made a simple mistake or whether price has just gone in the opposite direction. You know, there's no two ways about it. You're not going to win every trade, but if you have an edge within the markets, you are going to be successful in this industry. And developing your trader's mindset is so important, not just with trading, guys, but with everything you do. Okay, with everything you do in life, you need to consider your mindset, and you need to start not caring what people may or may not think about how you approach the word mindset. Because I can tell you now, I've got friends, very close friends, who laugh at me when I talk about mindset and I talk about personal development, because it's one of the biggest things I'm trying to do and in my own life right now, working on discipline, working on development, working on my mindset. And your mindset as a trader has got to be good at being disciplined. It's got to be good at being patient. It's got to be good at dealing with emotion. It's got to be emotionless to certain things. And one thing you've got to make sure you do is not care what people think, because some of it may seem cliche, it may seem cheesy, you know, all these motivational quotes and things like that we may or may not want to come up with may seem a bit irrelevant to some other people. But the difference between you and the difference between them is that you're going to end up in the 1% bracket of traders who make money. Okay, and to do that, you need to develop a very, very good trader's mindset. And this takes time, guys. It is not going to be a quick fix. It is not going to be done overnight, because you have to shift your paradigm. You have to be able to control your emotions. I cannot tell you the amount of people that have said to me in the past, they've messaged me on Instagram, they've messaged me on Facebook, they've said to me, Tom, I really feel like I'm there with my trading, but I'm too emotional. I don't know how to not get emotional, and then I overtrade, and then I overcomplicate things. That there is about the trader's mindset, because the skill that we're going to teach and we're going to make you, you know, aware and understand and things like that is going to be pretty simple. But you have to be patient. You have to not force yourself into trades, and you have to approach things in a very simplistic way, and that is a hard skill to have. So developing your trader's mindset is very, very important. So the juicy stuff, guys, once you have obviously done all of the above, you've found your edge, you've got your mindset in the right place, you've constructed your trading plan, you've got your trading business, we then need to think a little bit further along the line, and that is obviously further along in this course, but this is under the same thing of trading career essentials. Acquiring funding. Now, the beautiful thing in this day and age, you know, in this generation of trading is you don't, you know, gone are the days where you need 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand of your own money to invest into the stock market, into the exchange market. You can acquire funding through prop firm challenges. Now, we're going to go into that a lot more, but the perfect thing to gain capital, you don't have to leverage your own money. Obviously, you've invested yourself into this educational platform, but that is obviously part of your trading career essentials. You need to learn, you need to invest. Because, you know, one of my favourite sayings out there is, you know, it's very, people say that trading is dangerous, but investing anything with lack of knowledge is actually dangerous. So if you do invest money into the markets and you don't know what you're doing, then of course it's dangerous. Of course you're going to lose. But you have put your money in the right place by investing into this course, because you're going to get the appropriate education to succeed. And once we get you to where we need to get you, you're going to learn about acquiring funding for your business. Okay, and the next thing we're going to look at doing is scaling, which I don't know why that's not coming up. Scaling, here we go. So we're then going to talk about scaling. How can you really build wealth on top of everything you're doing? So something you may, you know, not be aware of, but once you acquire funding, you can do the challenge again. So there's certain ways we can scale. There's certain ways we can obviously build our income. And obviously, you know, the power of compounding is absolutely massive. So if you're in a position where you can scale up an account and not withdraw money from it and just build it every single week with a certain percentage gain, you're going to be in a very different situation in 12 months' time compared to where you are now. Trust me. So that there is your trading career essentials. And obviously then we need to talk about, you know, the difference between learning to trade versus your mindset. Okay, now They do come hand in hand, and in order to make consistent profits, you need to develop a certain mindset. Trading takes a great deal of patience. This industry can make you broke quicker than it can make you rich. And that is as true as can be, guys. Okay, you can very easily lose an account if you've not got the appropriate risk management. And it takes time to build up your account size. Okay, and whether that be starting from acquired funding that you've obviously gained or whatnot, but you have to understand your trader's mindset is vital. And without the two things, the skill and the mindset, it is just not going to happen for you. So please make sure you take the mindset as seriously as you possibly can. Okay, so with that in mind, it is essential that you learn on a demo account until you are making consistent profits. Okay, I am not a financial advisor. I will say that again and again throughout this course. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not going to tell you what you should do with your money. But you have to understand, guys, that if you don't know what you're doing and you are using live funds on an account, you are risking that money. It is essential that you learn on a demo account. And the beautiful thing about a demo account is it plays with fake money, simulated money on the live markets. So you're not going to miss out on the trading experience. You're just going to have the ability to learn whilst trading on a simulated account. So please trade on a demo account if you are not yet making consistent profits, guys. Okay, and if you follow the simple rules and steps, put in the work and dedicate yourself, then the only way you fail is if you physically quit. Okay, another one of my favourite sayings, guys, because if you can get up after falling down and then get up again after falling down, and then you can fall down 5 times in a row, if you can get up 6 times, trust me, you will make it in this game. It is only a matter of time. If you fall down 5 times, you get up 4, and you fall down a 6th time, and you decide that you've had enough and it's too emotional, your mindset isn't in the correct place, and you've completely burnt yourself out and you decide it's not for you, then unfortunately, no, you're not going to make it in this industry. So it's about how many times can you get up again. Now, there's a very hard way of learning, and that's by putting live money in and losing live money and things like that. Already we're giving you the right advice. Okay, learn on a demo account. That will save half of the emotion to begin with, because naturally you'll lose trades, and you have to be okay with dealing with the emotion. And before you start looking at dealing with live money, we can talk about that as we go along. For example, when you get really good at a demo, we can start with a very small live account. So it's not the end of the world when you're losing money and things like that, because there's a very big difference, guys, between having an account that's got £200 in it to having an account that's got £200,000 in it. So there are certain things you need to understand as well, and when you're shifting your paradigm and things like that. Okay, trading is not get rich quick. Like anything else, it takes time, but once you are there, it can give you as much financial freedom as you desire. So that again, guys, has never been more true. It's like anything, nothing's going to make you rich quickly. Nothing's going to make you rich overnight unless you are just lucky. Okay, if you've pressed the button, you've won the lottery, that's luck. Okay, you're taking a pick of the draw there, and you know, anyone can make money in trading by pressing buy and sell, and it can go in your direction, fine. But to do it consistently, week after week after week, it takes time just to understand the formalities of what we're trying to show you. But stick with it, because here's a question. If I said to you, you could have £100,000 or dollars or whatever your currency is in your account in 3 years' time, or you could have $500,000 in your account in 3 years' time, in 4 years' time, in 5 years' time, but it's going to take you 2 years to get there. Do you know the amount of people that would probably say, no, that's not enough time for me? But then in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, they haven't got anything because they're not patient. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you that long to get you that amount of money. But what I'm saying is it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next month. But let's do what we can to make it happen for you at some point, because when you put in the time and you're there, trust me, guys, it will be worth it. And the most perfect thing as well, when you've got to that stage, you're going to go on such a journey that when you're telling stories to friends, family, loved ones, you will say to them, I've had the experience of learning, and it is a journey, so enjoy it. because nothing can substitute experience, guys. That is essential. Okay, and then you need to look at creating a routine and treat this like a business. Whether it's full-time or part-time, it's still a business. I don't know what your reasons for doing this are, whether you want to just make a little bit of extra money to supplement your earnings, whether you want to completely do this full-time. Either way, it doesn't matter. Treat this like a business, guys. So there are 4 pillars of profitable traders, and they all fall within a circle. Persistence is obviously covering the big circle there. Within that circle is your risk management, your psychology, and your trading edge. So this is an image I want you to almost, print off and stick somewhere in your room and just study it, because this here is the most simple way of breaking down everything we try and talk about. Now, we talk about all these different things in the red, blue and green circle, and overall the black circle and the persistence level. We talk about everything and we go over everything, and you have to understand that it's all about this pillar, the 4 pillars. So please take this seriously, guys, okay, and understand what we're trying to say within this. This here is your Bible from now on. Okay, it is your Bible. It's going to help you become successful in the markets. And then we need to look at developing your 7-figure mindset. Now, you read that correct, guys. Your 7-figure mindset. The best way to have a 7-figure mindset is to think like a 7-figure trader. Okay, you've got to battle your fears. You've got to battle your doubts. That should say doubts, not doubles. I apologize. Insecurities, judgments from others. Okay, you've got to stop worrying about things like that. I said to you at the very start, one of the first things you need to do, guys, stop worrying what people may or may not think. Because if someone says, oh, that's a scam, if someone says stop talking rubbish about mindset, they're not in the correct place. They're not in the correct stage of their life to be where you are now. So that is already a pat on the back for you, because you're one step further than the rest of them. Okay? Think differently. You get what you will put in. How much effort are you prepared to do to get to where you want to be? And that's not just with trading, that's with anything. Wherever you want to succeed, guys, you have got to put everything in it. There's a really powerful quote which I love, and off the top of my head it's something along the lines of, anyone that desperately wants to be a millionaire will be there if you want it desperately enough. And that there is, again, it's so powerful. How desperately do you want to get to where you want to be? How desperately do you want to be a 7-figure trader? It can happen. We can get you to that 1%, consistent and profitable. Work ethic towards life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Routine comes into this again. So your work ethic, are you looking after yourself healthy, physically? Have you got a routine that includes exercise? I don't know what your routine is, but you need to think about what your routine is. Okay, you need to think about how you're going to incorporate trading and learning and watching into your life. Are you getting enough sleep at night? Gone are the days where businessmen or women talk about getting 2 hours of sleep every night because they're so busy up all night, money never sleeps, all that rubbish. But I can tell you now, guys, you need 6, 7, 8 hours sleep every single night, because you need to be focused every single day. So you need to put sleep first. You need to be exercising. I'm not telling you to go and get a gym membership if you haven't got one, but I am saying go for walks, keep yourself active, keep yourself healthy, because these things are important, guys. Okay, you have to understand these things are very, very important. Eating healthy, feeling good. Again, I don't know what goes on in your personal life, and I'm not judging, I'm not saying what you shouldn't be doing. This is all, just helpful advice, because your work ethic towards life is one thing, and how you should do everything. You work hard in everything. There's a really powerful saying on how you dress, because like dress psychology and things like that. And the example I'm using here is because I work from home doing what I'm doing, I dress as if I'm going to the office. Whatever your dress code would be, smart casual, you'd always see me in jeans and a nice jumper or a t-shirt that obviously is a bit more appropriate for working environments, or a shirt if I'm doing something online and things like that. But you will never see me sitting there in tracky bottoms, in cozy sort of wear, that kind of thing, because in my opinion, I'm getting up to go to work. Just because my work happens to be in an office upstairs in my house, that doesn't mean I shouldn't approach it professionally. When you go out with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones, you don't go out wearing tracky bottoms. You don't go out wearing lazy clothes as if you're sitting there on a Sunday. You don't not do your hair, you don't not do your makeup, whatever. But you make yourself look how you want to look, because it makes you feel good. And I'm not saying you have to care what people think and look and how they look at you in that way. That's not at all what I'm saying, because like we said, guys, judgment from others is irrelevant. We're not worried about what people are thinking. But when you dress up to go out and you're putting on clothes, you're doing your hair, whatever you're doing, how much better do you feel? How much more confident do you feel? So why don't you do that when you go into work? Because it will make you feel that much more confident. It will make you want to level up that much more. So that's what I mean about, how you do things in work. Well, work is towards your life as well. And a simple little way is just about the way you dress and things like that. Again, guys, I don't know how you dress. I don't know what you do. That's all absolutely fine. But I'm just saying that's what I would say and suggest. If you're sitting there on a Sunday and you're wanting to do some trading and things like that, maybe put some jeans on, maybe, I don't know. But for me personally, that works and that helps me. So that's what I would say on that. Anyway, your why, again, guys, this is probably one of the most important things. Okay, you need to ask yourself, or understand at least, why are you here? Why have you invested into this course? Why do you want to do, or what do you want to do, and why? Okay, you need to know the answer to all of these questions. Okay, I can tell you now my why and what it is. It's my family, it's my children. I've got 2 little girls, a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. And my why is them. I'm doing everything I'm doing for them. I want to provide a life for them where they can do anything they want to do. And money is irrelevant in this situation. I want to give them a life where I'm in their life. I want time to spend with my kids. I want to teach my kids to go on bikes. I want to teach, to take my kids to school. I want to do the school run. I want to go to their plays. I want to do all of this stuff. And I want to be able to give them anything they want. There's nothing wrong in being ambitious for your loved ones and things like that. These are the things I want to do, and that is why I want to do it. I invested to learn how to trade because of my kids, because of my wife, because of my family. I want to retire my parents. I want to retire my whole family. I want to retire my sister-in-law. I want to retire my brothers. I want to do all of that, and I'm going to. That's one of my goals. I'm going to do it. I want to help friends. I want to give people opportunities they didn't think were possible. I want to help people. That's why I'm here now talking to you today. My aim is to help people. I want you all to realise that I want to help you. My why is one thing, but what is yours? That's what you have to really know. Okay, guys? And you want to create a legacy that grows beyond you. You can do that financially. There are other ways, guys, that we can talk about this, but create a legacy that grows beyond you. That really comes into when you're starting to think about creating wealth, scaling, things like that. Because how many people have a job, you quit that job, you have to go and get another job. Your job allows you to pay your bills every single month. And with respect, if you stop your job, where's the money coming from? Give yourself the freedom that you can pass on to your family, to your next generation, beyond you. That's what you want to do. You want to think about creating a legacy. You want to be the one that creates it for your family, part of what your why is. Okay. Fast track your personal growth by making less mistakes. Now, you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. I took 2 trades this morning that I really shouldn't have taken, that both lost. I'm making mistakes every day, guys, but I don't make anywhere near as many mistakes as what I did. You know, learning not to let people get under my skin about their judgment on what I'm trying to do. That is a mistake I would have made. So the process to get to 6 or 7 figure accounts. Firstly, trust it. Trust the process, trust your methodology, trust the simplicity of what we're trying to teach, and understand that when I'm talking about personal development, mindset, things like that, it's very, very important. Trust the growth capabilities. Okay, when I say you can move an account from £1,000 to £500,000, it is possible. Is it easier to start from a bigger account? Yes. That's why we're going to acquire the funding. Unless you've obviously got the capital to invest. But, you know, let's assume, you know, for argument's sake, you don't have the capital. You know, trust the growth capabilities. Get yourself to the stage where you are flipping accounts on a demo account. And what I mean by flipping accounts, you're turning 5 grand into 10 grand. You're turning 20 grand into 40 grand. You're turning 40 grand into 80 grand. Just based on price action, just based on movement. And then you can do that, and if you've got your mindset in the correct space, you can then go and do it on another account, on a live account, on a funded account, or on your own account. So trust the growth capabilities, guys. And like we said, you know, don't worry if you have no money to start with. Money will arrive when you gain the experience. And that's the same, guys. You know, you'll find money from somewhere. And I'm not, listen, by the way, the beautiful thing about trading, because I've tried different career paths before, and I really, really dislike it when you go on courses and they are advising you to use credit cards or to get loans or to acquire funding with investors and things like that. I really do not like that advice, because it encourages people to get into debt. And guys, listen, again, not a financial advisor, but I've been on courses, I've been in educational spaces, you know, mainly it was I can tell you now, it was a property course, and the course was talking about, they had a module on getting funding for your house that you're going to buy. And all it was, if you don't have the money, go and get a loan. Go and see how much credit you've got. Sell your house. And I just was baffled with it. And obviously I didn't do any of that. But the amount of people that would go and max out their credit card and go and get loans, go and borrow money from someone they don't know, things like that, go and borrow money off a family member. I'm not suggesting you have to do any of that. And the perfect thing about trading is, if you don't have the money to start with to grow your account, this is where we're talking about funded accounts. They are available for traders to get capital into their lives. So that there is the beauty of Forex trading. It's a massive, massive advantage for this industry, because you don't need to start with £100,000. You know, if you wanted to open a restaurant, one of the most incredible businesses you can ever run is owning a restaurant, if it's a good restaurant. But to start it up, you wouldn't get much change out of £500,000 or dollars or whatever your currency may be. But you have to do all of that hiring and firing and getting venues and getting staff and, you know, building menus, building ideas and things like that. But what we're teaching you to do here is all on the space of your laptop. It's all in the digital world. This is the beauty of this generation, guys. And you don't need £500,000 to do it. But you could earn more than what a restaurant owner makes. So for me, this is a no-brainer. But if your progress is at the moment that you're at the very start of your trading career, just understand it's not going to happen tonight, tomorrow, next month. It takes time, guys. It takes time. And, you know, going on to funded challenges, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what we're going to focus on if you haven't got the capital. And that's, you know, our aim is to get you funded, to get you into a situation where you are trading with capital. And we'll talk more about funded challenges and things like that as well, so don't worry, guys. Understand compounding. Patience pays. So again, guys, I said about compounding a little while ago. Compounding is essentially where you don't take money out and you grow your account. And I will show you examples of compounding and things like that along the way when we talk further and further and further. But when you are compounding your account, it is so powerful. You know, if you've got £500 in your account and you compound it by earning 10% a week, which is possible with the strategy, in a year's time that account will look like £500,000 or something along those lines. That's just incredible. You know, imagine if you started with a 50 grand account and you compounded it 20% a month. Again, possible, guys. Possible. So it's just understanding compounding, and that, you know, patience really does pay. You know, I don't know what your situation is, but, you know, we're going to make sure that wherever you want to be, you're going to be. So, hopefully, you guys have had an experience where, you know, you've been able to take in some of the stuff, and this is really just an outline of some of the stuff we're going to talk about. It's really important that you take in what we're trying to talk about. Okay, it's really important you understand, you know, the process of where we're trying to go with this. We're getting you to, you know, freedom is what the aim is, and you have to approach things in a certain way, guys. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, it's not going to happen next month, next week, whatever. But trust the process. Understand that what we're doing, guys, is for the benefit of you. You will get to where you want to be. Okay, guys, you will get to where you want to be. And we're going to talk about, you know, the next thing we're going to talk about is the anatomy of your trading business, because again, a very important subject. But guys, hopefully you've taken some kind of value out of today. We're going to talk about the anatomy of a trading business. We're also going to go into personal development and things like that. And yeah, guys, we're going to absolutely smash it, and we're going to make sure you get to where you need to be. So start thinking along the lines of 6-7 figure accounts. Stop thinking small. Start thinking big. Trust the process. Trust your mindset. And guys, in advance, I apologise about my spelling in some of those slides. Spelling has never been my forte, unfortunately, and it's one of those things. Again, I'm not afraid to admit, if that makes sense. You know, it's not going to stop me, you know, in my journey. It's just sometimes you're going to see some words that aren't spelt correctly. So I appreciate that, you know, the spelling isn't great in some of those words, and I do apologise, but you know, we are where we are with it. So guys, with that, I will see you on the next video.